Hello everybody, good morning. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little more laid back, I guess a little bit lazier, if I want to call it that. But when I woke up this morning, it's just a rainy Sunday morning in Georgia, and I have a limited time to film, and I just don't think that I'm ready to sit down and unpack all of my feelings for the 10 or so books that I read in January. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about all of the books I'm really excited to read in February, fingers crossed. Before I jump into those, I want to say I did read 6 of the books from my January TBR, so I am getting better at these. It's kind of a new year goal for me to actually read the books that I put on my TBR. Novel concept, I know, but I struggle with that. I'm just such a mood reader. But regardless, even if I don't read a single book from this TBR, which I know I will, but even if I didn't, I still think it's fun to just have a video where I talk about all of the books I'm really excited to get to. So just take from all of that what you will. Let's just relax, have a good time, and get started talking about all of these books. So I've broken down the TBR into 3 different categories or sections. Let's call them sections. Section number 1 is going to be books that book clubs I'm involved with are reading. There are only 2 this month, and also 3 books for a secret TBR video that you already saw in my January TBR, but I'll talk about them again briefly for this February TBR. Section number 2 is going to be, these are books that I'm currently reading, or I'm in the middle of, or I've just been reading them for too long, or talking about them for too long, whatever. I've already started these books, so I think that there's going to be a high number of books on this TBR, but keep in mind, I'm over halfway through with a lot of these books. I just need to cut it out and finish them. February is going to be that month for me. And section number 3 are just books that I'm really excited about and I just want to read in February. These are the books that, if I don't get to any of these books, don't be surprised if it's a book that came from section 3. Okay. Let's just get started. The 5 books that I will definitely be reading in February. The first one is The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. This is the same author as The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I felt kind of indifferent about that book. I know I recommended a lot and I did enjoy the book, but I do feel like I was not the intended audience for that book. I feel like there are a lot of people out there who got a lot more out of it than I did. But this one sounds like it's going to be exactly for me. It sounds like it's going to be this historical fiction, light fantasy mystery book. It's set on the open waters in I think the early 1600s. I don't read a lot from that time period, so I'm very intrigued. And the world's greatest detective at that time is being transported via ship to Amsterdam to be executed for a crime that he might have committed, but also he might not have committed. His bodyguard is traveling with him on this ship, and the whole time he's trying to prove his friend's innocence. And while all that is happening, strange things start happening on the ship, and somehow it becomes a mystery. First of all, this is one of my favorite covers that I own. I think it's so beautiful. It has that iridescent green that I'm just so obsessed with. We also have maps on the end pages. We have a map. We also have a character list before chapter 1. I remember that was very helpful in The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle because there were just so many characters in that book that it kind of got overwhelming at times, and it was really nice just to be able to flip back to those end pages and see who is who. I'm a little bit discouraged that there are going to be a ton of characters in this book. Even though we're in this isolated setting, I don't want to be confused, especially if we have fantastical elements going on. That can already be kind of enough for me to keep track of, but I'm so excited for it. I know it's a long book, but I feel like this is the perfect book club pick because it's something I'm excited for, but it's something that I would be really intimidated to just pick up by myself. Anyway, that's book 1 for February. And then in stark contrast, the Sugar and Spice book club is going to be reading the X-Talk this month. I am so confident in saying this is my highest anticipated 2021 release from an author that I have never read from. I know that sounded really specific. Of course, I'm highly anticipating the new Alex Michaelides book, the Riley Sager, some Sally Thorne, and some Emily Henry books later this year. But this one sounds so good. This has a trope that I don't think I've ever read before. It's enemies to fake exes to lovers romance. Cute, right? And all of this takes place at a radio station. These two work in public broadcasting or radio broadcasting. Anyway, this is gonna sound so nerdy of me, but it takes place in Seattle, and all I can think about is Frasier. Does anyone else really love Frasier like I love Frasier? I flipped to the back of the book. Not only does this book take place in a radio station, but we have the Seattle, is it called the Space Needle? I don't know. Just seeing that just was such a staple of Frasier in my mind. The plot of this book actually has nothing to do with Frasier, and I don't know why I'm talking about Frasier more than I'm talking about the book, but like, if you guys don't watch that, that is like the perfect quintessential comfort TV show if you're trying to fall asleep at night. Okay, back to the X talk. From what I understand, these two people on the cover here, they don't get along at their radio station, but they are co-workers. And together they're going to star in this radio show called the X Talk, where they are pretending to be exes, but they're like answering people's advice questions. I think I'm saying that right. So that's just like a strange, unique dynamic between two characters in a book that I've not read before. I'm so excited for it. I love the cover, I love the premise. I think it's gonna be so much fun. I'm going to just breeze through these next three because I did spend a lot of time talking about them in my January TBR video. I will link that in the cards if you're interested in watching that. So it is a secret TBR, but I don't think it's a secret anymore. I'm gonna be reading 3 of Jess's favorite books this month. Jess from Books Past Bedtime. I love you, Jess. That is going to be the second video in a little collaboration series that Jess, Hailey, and I have been doing together. Last month, I read some of Hailey's favorite books, Hailey read some of Jess's favorite books, and Jess read some of my favorite books. I will link their videos in the description of this video because we had so much fun doing these. We decided to push video 2 to like the middle/end of February, so that's why those 3 came off the January TBR and onto the February TBR. Those books are Junkie, Rock, and East of Eden. So if you watched last month's video and you're like, what the heck is this secret TBR? This makes no sense. Now you know. Those are 3 of Jess's favorite books. I'm gonna be reading them later this month and vlogging the experience, so keep an eye out for that. I'm so excited to get to those. And that wraps up the TBR in terms of book club books or secret TBR books. So let's move on to books that I am currently reading, I'm currently in the middle of, whatever. Now before I start talking about these books, I don't care if you want to roast me in the comments. I understand this isn't like everyone's way of reading, but just keep in mind it's something that works for me. I like reading chunks at a book at a time and then putting it down for a while and then coming back to it, reading other books in between. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't hinder my reading experience at all. So like, just keep in mind, it's how I like to read, okay? Now, with that being said, I'm finally going to finish One to Watch by Kate Stayman London this month. I started buddy reading this with Mare from Mare Reads last summer. I'm pretty sure it was last summer. Obviously, I'm over halfway through with the book. I only have like 150 pages-ish left. I don't know, I'm not loving this book as much as I wanted to love it. I am a very avid consumer of anything Bachelor franchise, and I feel like One to Watch has a lot of great commentary about the show. I just think it's a little too on the nose for my taste. Like, this is literally the Bachelor franchise incarnate. So B is a plus size fashion blogger who has been chosen to go on this show after the show received a lot of backlash for the lack of inclusivity and just range, whether it's been like diversity or body type, you name it, the show has been under fire for it. So they brought B on trying to like cool down some tension in the franchise. And when she gets on there, it's literally exactly what I was expecting. You know, I was expecting for her to go on there would be some nice guys, there would be some really bad guys, and then there would be some guys that she's interested in that you don't know whether or not they're actually there for her. That is literally what this book is so far. I do like it. There is a little bit of mixed media in the book, like we're getting to see some blog posts and like group chat texts and stuff like that. It's making it fun, it's making it feel interactive. I just feel like the relationships are shallow, like they are on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. Next, I am going to finish The Passengers by John Mars. I'm buddy reading this kind of with Manda from Ginger Snapped Reads. I don't know who decided that we were allowed to buddy read a book together because we have just straight up not been reading this book. I'm over a third of the way through with it and I really am enjoying this book. It's a tech thriller about self-driving cars gone wrong. I feel like the first 75 pages were a little slower than I wanted them to be, but they had to get all the characters set up, I understand, and now people are dying now at the point I'm at in the book. And I mean, that's not a spoiler, that's promised to you on the back of the book. But just like with as stressed as I've been at work recently, I just have not felt like coming home and reading about these people spontaneously combusting in these cars that are plummeting at high speeds toward each other. Like, that's just not been on the docket for my evenings recently. Not to say I'm not enjoying it, I've just not been in the mood for it. So hopefully I will be in February. We'll see. Next is another one I've been reading slowly but surely since last summer. It's The Great Alone by Kirsten Hanna. I was literally not even gonna put this in this video, but then I kept thinking about Kirsten from Kirsten's Corner, and now she's just gonna keep yelling at me until I read this book, or until I finish it, because I've been reading it for, maybe almost a year now. I don't really want to say. I'm on page 204 and there are 400 and something pages, so it's not even like that long. In my mind it's just so long. I think it's because I have the hardback version. This book takes place in Alaska, which we all know at this point. I'm so into Alaskan settings at the moment, but this is showing the grittier side of Alaska, which I'm still into, but this is actually taking a deeper dive, and it's like a character study on this family where the father has returned from the Vietnam War. He has PTSD and he has inherited this house from a buddy who has died. So he like gets his family together, which is his wife and his daughter, and they move up to Alaska. And once they get up there, things just start to go really wrong, like between just the Alaskan lifestyles and the climate and the conditions up there, but also the deteriorating family dynamics as well as the father's mental health. This book just is covering a lot so far. It's very expansive. I love Kristen Hanna's writing style. I think this is still on track to be a 5-star prediction, but it's just not something that I can knock out a ton of pages at a time. I am hoping to just sit down within a few days this month and just completely knock out the rest of the book. Lastly is another one I've been reading for about a month. It's Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. Hailey highly recommended this book to me. It's like a domestic thriller. I trust her on her domestic thriller recommendations. I don't know how much I'm really going to enjoy it for my personal taste. I think it's kind of on track to be like a 3-ish star right now, maybe a 4 if something gets spiced up in the second half of this book. It's about this woman who thinks her husband has died, but then his body goes missing and she doesn't know if he's still alive or if someone is messing with her and has done something with the body. Yeah, that's kind of what the book is about. Okay, my camera just died, so I have no idea if you can see me from my phone filming that I have set up here. We'll find out in a minute. The last one from that section that I am currently reading is The AI Who Loved Me by Alyssa Cole. I don't know, this is kind of like on track to be maybe another 3-star book. It's about this woman who worked for this tech company, kind of like a sci-fi futuristic company, and she got hurt on the job. We don't really know how yet. She's one of the perspectives, and also this artificial intelligence guy is like trying to keep her safe, but she doesn't know that he's basically a robot. She just thinks he's weird, and I don't know, it's cute so far, but it's just very strange. It is a novella, so I'm flying through it. I only have like 50 pages left of that. It's cute so far. Next, I just have some books that I'm really excited about, I really wanted to talk about in the video, and yeah, let's just do it. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is on my 2021 TBR list, so I'm still on track with like reading one of those per month. I've started this book. I'm on page 66, but like I'm not super far into it. I also really want to read A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole, same author as the artificial intelligence book, and also the same author as When No One Is Watching. I really enjoyed reading that last year, and when I saw that Alyssa Cole writes romance books, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to try it out. So this is part of the Reluctant Royal series. It is book 1. I'm really hoping that I like this book. It's kind of like a Prince and the Pauper-ish, not retelling. It's not even a Prince and the Pauper. Basically, this guy is an African prince. He thinks that this American girl is his soulmate and they're gonna meet up or whatever. And then once he goes to meet her, she mistakes him for being a pauper. And he likes being able just to live out his life as a normal person, or at least with her thinking that he is. That's how I understand this book to be. I think it sounds so cute, and if I like it, then I get to continue with the series. Next, I'm pretty positive this is going to be the month that I finally read Normal People. I know you're all gasping, like, she's been talking about this book for 2 years. I know I have been, but I'm still really excited to read it. It still is not a very long book, and I don't think that the lack of quotation marks are going to get me down. I also want to read Well Met. This is another one I've already started, but I'm only on page 20. I don't even count that as starting the book. But it's like a hate to love romance taking place at a Renaissance fair. I know it kind of sounds like a summary book, but I've just been in like a summary reading mood, so please just let me have this. And I have Trust Exercise checked out from the library right now. I'm also on page 20 of this book, and I know that everyone really loves to hate this book, but I don't see anything wrong with it so far. I'm sure that I will in the future. I know a lot of people call this book pretentious. It is a National Book Award winner, but I just feel like I've never talked to somebody who actually liked this book, so I still feel very nervous about it. It's very dense. There are no chapters so far, so I feel like I've just been reading page after page of just really blocky, heavy texts. But, oh well, just throwing it around. I don't even want to tell you what it's about because from what I've heard, I
I actually don't really know a description of it because I'm trying to go in as blind as possible, because I've heard that there is a twist in this book that's crazy. Not necessarily with the plot, but just how you're viewing things as the reader. All I know is it's about these high school theater students and like their theater teacher. So lastly, for my February book of the month add-on, I chose An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. This is the same author as Leaving Atlanta, which I just finished yesterday actually, and I loved it so much. I feel like Tayari is going to be one of my new favorite authors, so I cannot wait to get my hands on that book and read it this month. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to. And then also I want to get my hands on The Silver Sparrow. I don't think for this month, but I'm obsessed with her writing style. I'm obsessed with her commentary and what she has to say, with her voice. Yeah, I'm so excited. So I think that that's everything for February. I cannot thank you enough for watching. I hope that everyone has a nice, relaxing, cozy day and a productive week this week. I hope everyone's staying safe. I will see you in the next video. Bye.